right, lads, welcome back to an extra episode of Who's Got the Ball. And this is your extra episode over the Christmas period. As we already mentioned on the last episode, we'll be back on New Year's Day for another football special. But this is kind of going to be your extra one where we talk about recaps and some previews for the NFL and NBA at Christmas time. But happy Christmas to everyone. Hope you had a great one, Shane. How was yours?
Good, really good actually. As I said in the last one, it was our biggest Christmas ever. We had 10 people for dinner, but the day just flew by. I don't even put the television on until my uncle insisted on watching Mrs. Brown's Boys late in the evening. I was like, no, I'm watching the NFL, so I kind of just left the room at that point. But really good Christmas, can't complain. How about yourself?
Yeah, really good. Just a lot of madness with kids, loads of toys everywhere, up early. Yeah, nice dinner and all that stuff. Got to watch a good bit of the Cowboys and Commanders game just around dinner time because we just kind of relaxed there for a little while. But outside of that, I was only able to flick my eye over a few things because it was fairly hectic. But
Mm.
yeah, got to recap then afterwards the next day. It's nice to get taking all the action from the night before when there was such great NBA and NFL action on during the day. But also then last night going out on Stephen's Day to watch United scrape a win with God knows what that lineup was, but they managed to get it, so that added to the festive joy for me as well. Finally picking up 3 points in a clean sheet again. But
Finally playing with the back four.
yeah, finally playing by the back four, and then when we're yeah, just somehow managing with I don't know what kind of a team that was. It's like one of those games where you go back in 10 years and you're like, oh, they won a game with this lineup, like Dorgu playing right
Yeah,
wing. Absolutely nuts. But
mad.
we covered a lot in this episode. We've got some NFL recap from Christmas Day before we previewed most of the big games this weekend. So, previewed tonight's game between the Texans and Chargers, an absolutely massive one, and we gave a little prediction for that one too. We also gave a quick preview of the Ravens and Packers tonight before talking about all the big games on Sunday. So, some games with playoff implications, seeding implications, and also the toilet bowl between the Giants and Raiders. We talked about all of those and really what way we think those are going to go and some key matchups and some key things going into them. Before we moved on to the NBA, we gave a Christmas Day recap of those games too. So we recapped everything that went down on Christmas Day, some big blowout wins, some overtime thrillers, and also some very unexpected wins for some teams that really turned the screw and look like they're going to be real challengers. So you want to sit back and relax, listen to everything we've got to say, set yourself up for the NFL weekend, and get all the action from Christmas Day recapped. This is your place to do it.
If you're watching on YouTube, I do apologize for the fact I'm in Harry Potter's cupboard, and that's why the light is a bit kind of all over the place. But we'll be back to normal next week.
Let's get straight into it. All right, so we're going to start with a recap of the Christmas Day games in the NFL. There was actually like no real expectations going into this from my end anyway. Neither of us really thought anything of the games, but there's actually a few storylines came off the back of it, some interesting bits. So we start with the Cowboys and Commanders, 30-23. I think Washington put up a great fight considering Josh Johnson was starting at quarterback for them, but they just could not stop the run. 211 yards allowed on the ground, and that 86-yard touchdown to Turpin was beautiful for the Cowboys. So I think those two factors, one deep touchdown and then not being able to stop the run is what really made the difference. But in fairness, I give a lot of props to the Commanders for fighting as hard as they did.
Yeah, this was the only game of any kind of real quality that actually came out from the day. So the other two, we'll talk about them in a second, but there is some storylines, but my God, they were utter nonsense in general. But this was the only one that was actually good. Dak, 370 yards, two touchdowns. That one you just mentioned there as well for Turpin, outrageous. George Pickens, really good again, 7 of 8 receptions, quality again. And I think Cooksley Merritt from Washington is going to be a really good player in this league as well. Um, I actually thought the Commanders did a lot better than I expected, to be perfectly honest. Same as you now. I wasn't expecting anything for them. For them to go out and put up 23 points is quite impressive. But as you said, they couldn't get anything going on defense, and that is what cost them.
Yeah, I think that big run as well. I'm glad that we'll just call him Bill because that's what he's told everyone to call him. I'm glad that he's given that as his nickname. It's a lot easier than Krosky Merritt, but that 72-yard run, I think they had it on the broadcast on Netflix that he got up like nearly to 22 miles an hour on that run, and he looked like he had a bit more in him. So that was absolute. I think you're right. That's madness. He's able to do that, and that he'll be someone for a few years to come. It's yeah. To be honest, like the Cowboys, they won, but like they played most of their full strength team, if not all of it. And the Commanders they've been beat up by injuries. They're on their third string quarterback, and they only lost by seven. So the Cowboys really, yeah, they shouldn't be too happy with. Fans shouldn't be too happy with that performance in
Yeah.
general. I wouldn't be anyway. But we'll
Yeah,
move on to
The Cowboys are just who they are. Like they're just I think they're always going to be this team. Like they're the only one of the 16 teams who haven't had a conference finals in the last 15 years. I think I saw recently I think I saw it on Twitter this morning or something along those lines. They're just kind of under Jerry, they're just a mess. And even when they do go on these good runs, you're like, oh, this might be the time for the Cowboys now. They just go and somehow manage to make bits of it again. So yeah, I know we're Jets and Giants fans, but I actually think I'd rather be a Jets and a Giants fan instead of a Cowboys fan. Where with Cowboys, you always have expectation, and they
yeah.
always fail. With the Jets and Giants, there's no expectation. So to do anything, it's a bonus. But no, I can only imagine. I do feel for Cowboys fans, unfortunately.
Yeah, yeah, and as well, like for the younger fans of the NFL or anyone who's really an international fan, maybe got into it in the last 5, 10 years, like us. Like you've never seen the Cowboys be this team that everyone in the US like has them like on this pedestal because of their history, but like we've never seen that. Young NFL fans have never
Yeah,
seen that. So yeah, that must pain Jerry a lot that he has this new generation that hasn't seen any of that. But he's not going to give up doing the same old stuff for himself and
no,
for the
never.
team. Moving on to a disaster class by Jared Goff. Oh my God. And the Lions in general. Lord, 10. They scored 10 points against the Vikings, who also had a third string quarterback in Max Brosmer, and they managed to put up 23 points. I think Brosmer threw for 51 yards on 9 completions, and the team put up 23 points. So that shows you that 6 turnovers from the Lions really, really, really shaped this game. Two bad throws by Goff for interceptions. He had some nice third down conversions at times in the game, but really let them down in the biggest moments. And then the fumbles too. I don't know what's going on with Jameer Gibbs. He had a fumble and could not get going once again. So that seems to be a big issue for the team. I don't know. I don't know where the Lions go from here. It was kind of an embarrassing performance to end their season.
It's kind of like I don't think the Lions are going to get playoffs anyway. But the way that they lost this game and completely took themselves out of the contention is absolutely scandalous. The Vikings did nothing on offense and still scored 23 points. The six turnovers is incredibly bad. And I don't know what Jared Goff saw on those two interceptions because they were both straight to Viking defenders. Van Ginkel made bits of him all night as well. He was all over him. He might as well have been playing quarterback for the Lions. He spent more time in the pocket than Jared Goff did. Like so,
Yeah,
I couldn't believe how poor the Lions were. Gibbs just looks like he's just ready for the season to be over and he wants to start again. And it's been like that for a couple of weeks now. It was the same last week. It's since he put in that outrageous performance, the one in fancy was 40 odd points. He's just like, okay,
against the
that's my
Giants.
season done. Yeah, he's like, okay, that's my season done. Same with Jonathan Taylor's done the same the last couple of weeks. He's just forgotten how to play football after scoring 4 touchdowns in a game. So maybe there's something to look into in that. I think the Vikings had three positive yards of passing when you consider all the dropbacks and the sacks that Rosemer took as well. They had 3 yards of passing, and they still scored 23 points and won the game. They were just the Lions just shot themselves in the foot over and over again, and it's such an embarrassing way for the season to end for my Super Bowl favorites to start the season as well. I have to put that in there. Shocking
Yeah.
from me and from them.
Yeah, I can't believe they missed the playoffs though. Like I didn't have them to win the Super Bowl, but I had them as a shoe in for the playoffs. Like even and I did mention at the start of the season it would be difficult that they lost both coordinators, but that for me pushed them back to maybe like a 10-7 team or an eleven
Yeah.
and six team, not a team that's sitting at 8-8 right now and could have a below 500 record by the time the season is done. It's yeah, it's a horrible way for the season to end. That offensive line is destroyed. The center could not even snap the ball on a number of occasions correctly. Like, felt sorry for Goff in those moments, but those moments were kind of few and far between compared to the other outrageously bad moments Goff and the team had. So I wouldn't really put it up to this to the center, like losing them the game or anything like that. And it shows as well. It's a testament to how good the Chargers have been because their offensive line is completely destroyed. And they've had, I think, their fifth and sixth stringers at tackle at the moment.
Yeah.
They're still managing to win games and beat good teams. So that's a kind of a testament to them. But we will talk about them in a few minutes.
Yeah,
Anything else
there
from the
was
Lions?
there was one in particular for Goff. It was the center snapped it really badly, but Goff went back and jumped on it, and then showed no strength or desire to keep the ball
Yeah,
when Van Ginkel came at him. Like I thought that was just a really poor showing from him. Like he had the ball in his hands, he rolls onto his back, and he basically just lets it go. I think that kind of showed then that like he knew the season was over, they knew the season was over, and they're just like, just get me out of here. Instead of
yeah.
actually fighting for it. I think they were down. I think it was it was before I went to 23-10. So what it was,
It was
they were
20
still
to
they
10
were
at that
in.
point.
Yeah, it was 2010. So that was the one they needed to get at least a field goal out of it and kind of keep themselves in the game. He just showed no desire to get his hands in the ball, and that's when I knew. Then I was like, I might as well just turn it off now. There's no need to watch any more of this. But yeah, really poor season for the Lions. We'll have to see what they can do next year now because I didn't realize they losing Aaron Glenn and the new Saints coach is going to make such a difference, but it really has.
Ben Johnson, yeah,
Ben Johnson, yeah,
the
sorry, yeah.
Bears, the Bears.
Yeah, the Bears, not the Saints.
Yeah, that's seems to be an absolute massive blow for them, and
Mm.
something that might trickle into next season at this rate, the way things are looking. But you do lose so many players. You're basically your whole offensive line. Most of your skill position players go down at certain times, and then probably the best two safeties in the league.
Mm.
And going down also, like missing Brian Branch was absolutely huge for them this season. So yeah, look, they had reasons, but still, last year they managed to overcome so many injuries, and they couldn't do it this time. But um, another game then to wrap up the night. That was the Broncos and Chiefs. Now this one was on a little bit later, so I will say did not watch the game live. Next morning job, catch up on this, and it went exactly how we kind of said it would. We said
Yeah,
that the Broncos were going to make incredibly hard work of this game, and they did. This is a Chiefs team that just got waxed by the Titans the week before, and the Broncos needed a four-quarter comeback against them. Yes, okay, Bo Nix was good in the clutch again, but why should you have to be clutch against so many bad teams this season? Why are you being clutch against the Raiders and against the Giants and against a Chiefs team that just got beaten by the Titans with a third stringer? That's not it's not good enough. And yes, he won them the game, but it's just not good enough from the Broncos, and it doesn't give me any hope whatsoever for them. Even if they manage to get the one seed, they're going to be one and done in the playoffs the way they're carrying on this season.
yeah. There's no way if they try and do what they're doing against a proper team that they're going to get away with it. So, like if they try and do this in the playoffs, as you said, they will absolutely get smashed straight away. This is a Chiefs team that have nobody. They're on their third string because their first two, sorry, third string quarterback, their first two both did their ACLs. Like he's a fella who's been bouncing around for so long, and he's clearly not very good. Now he,
He made some
I know
decent
Bone,
plays.
yeah, he did, and Bonix is just he's not who everyone thinks he is. I don't think. 182 yards, one touchdown, one interception. Fair enough. Fuck.
Another sneeze back again.
Another sneeze, Christ's sake. They're just, you know what? They're just really poor. A lot of the time, and they're another one of these teams who have one of the best records in the NFL. And I don't know how they've got there. I think it's a bit like Joe. We were saying about the Chiefs last year, but they kept winning these one-score games that sometimes
Yeah.
going to come back and bite them. I think the Broncos are going to come back and get bitten as well. If it's not in the playoffs, it'll be next year. They might make the playoffs at all next year because they won't keep getting away with what they're doing.
Yeah, and I think next year the Chiefs are going to be even better. They're going to retool, and to be honest, the Chargers can still win this division. So we're going to get on to the Chargers again, as I already mentioned. Their game tonight is massive, and if they get a win, and then they play the Broncos the final week, if they beat them, they'll go and they'll win that division because they have a better divisional record. They've won all their
Yeah,
games, the Chargers in the division. So it's not sealed yet for the Broncos to get the one seed or get the division, but they're 100% in the playoffs. But regardless of any of that, they could be going on the road. And I don't fancy them definitely on the road. I think they have a good home field advantage there in Mile High.
Yeah,
Um, but if they don't have that, I don't think they have a whole lot. And I think you're right that next year we'll see a regression because Nick's he's for me he's like a top 15 quarterback, but he's never ever going to be top five or even like
yeah,
top 10
100%.
because he does the right things in big moments. But then when you're kind of way behind or you need a big performance from him, like a Josh Allen type performance, even something like we mentioned that Trevor Lawrence did to them last week, he can't do that. He doesn't have that ability. So yeah, it's a solid quarterback. It's a good team. It's a good coach, but it's just not the type that wins the Super Bowl for me.
No, 100% agree. I think Bo Nix would be great for a team that was winning consistently over and over again, and they were kind of going out there and expecting to win by 10 or 15 points. Then that's when he's really, really good. But when it comes to kind of like, I know he's good in the clutch, and we'll say it over and over again, but when it's a team you should be absolutely battering. He doesn't seem to be able to do it until they're losing. It's like he needs to be losing to get the motivation to go and kind of just turn the screw properly. So we'll have to see how they do in playoffs. I just don't fancy him. I really don't.
Yeah, no, 100%. We'll talk about this Texans and Chargers game. We've teased it a couple of times. I think it's going to be a brilliant game tonight, Saturday night. Probably one of the games of the weekend. Two amazing defenses going head to head. Chargers do have a banged up offensive line, as I mentioned, but they've got the job done. I don't know if that will hold up though when you're coming up against Will Anderson Jr. and Daniel Hunter.
Mm.
That's a whole different beast altogether. 16.6 points per game allowed by Houston, the best in the league, and 20.1 allowed per game by the Chargers, which is the eighth best. Both teams have 41 sacks. It's a real matchup of defenses here for me. It's a proper football game. Two really good head coaches, and two quarterbacks who are on a heater right now. So this is a great matchup.
Yeah, 10-5 plays 11-4. The Texans really need a win here. They're not guaranteed playoffs yet. They're very much on the cusp of it. They probably will get there, but digging over the line here kind of it helps the Broncos out as well as helps out the Texans to get themselves right into a playoff picture. CJ Stroud has just been having such a good month or 6 weeks. He's been excellent over the last while. But Herbert has been he's been solid all season, really. He hasn't done anything wrong, really, bar one or two poor performances. But again, he's another kind of top 15 quarterback. So you'll take that from him every now and again. I think the fact that it's on in SoFi is really going to help the Chargers here. I would like to see the Texans win it and kind of open things up for themselves as well, but I just don't think they're going to be able to do it.
Yeah, I don't know. It's hard to call this one for me because I'm really on the fence, and I think the Texans fans will also travel. Like SoFi is always like half full of the opposition fans,
Yeah,
which is going to make an interesting environment. But yeah, I think for the team having to travel there, maybe that will swing it. I don't know. It's just so hard to call. But the Chargers, like they just beat Philly, they beat the Chiefs, they beat the Cowboys. That game by Herbert was exceptional against the Cowboys. Like 23 of 39. Sorry, 23 of 29, 300 yards, over 10 yards per completion, and two touchdowns. Like to have that against a Cowboys team that were still fighting for their lives at that time, and the week before they went out and they ended Kansas City's season. So they're like the type of team that really has been going under the radar. And I know you mentioned Stroud and how he's been good recently. I'm really interested in this game because I know that the Texans are on a 7 game win streak, but Stroud, he's been in, they've won four in a row with him back, but they've not faced good teams really since he's come back.
yeah,
Like beating up on the Cardinals and barely beating the Raiders is a different story to playing the Chargers. And when they did get the win against the Bills, that was with Davis Mills, and that was down to the defense. The defense always seems to have that kind of hold over the Bills every time they play them. They just know how to play against Allen. So this one is a real test for not only the team but for Stroud's mettle to see. Okay, now let's do it on a big stage, Saturday night prime time against the Chargers. You still have a chance to win the division, and this is to solidify your place in the playoffs. What are you going to do?
yeah, 100%. But he just has to go out here and just show what he can do and show what he's about. If he can, do you remember his rookie year, how good he was in his rookie year, and he's never really gotten back to that level, but he's looked like he's kind of gaining that confidence again over the last month. As you said, now it was against it wasn't against much in fairness now, but just like winning those games is just building confidence, building confidence. If he can keep building his confidence into this game, and if he comes out of this with a win, he could be sky high again, and we'll see what he can actually do. But this is the biggest game of the last, probably of his NFL career, maybe for the Texans so far. So we'll have to see if he hopefully can go out there and just put in a performance and show what he is actually made of.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. I haven't made
Yeah.
a prediction, but let's do it. Let's just
Ooh.
quick fire predict it. What do you think?
I think the Chargers by 3.
Yeah, I also think the Chargers are going to scrape it. I'll just go by 6, so just to be different.
Oof.
But I
Okay.
think it's probably going to be a really, really close game. Maybe a position where Stroud has the ball in his hands at the end, needing a touchdown, and Chargers defense comes up big. Um, I'm looking forward to watching Dayon Henley in this game too. Absolutely love him for the Chargers at linebacker. But another game on Saturday night. This one really only needs a quick mention at this point because yeah, the most of the storylines that potentially were in place for this have fallen off a cliff in recent weeks. Micah Parsons blown out his ACL. Both Lamar Jackson and Jordan Love are out, so it's two backups. It's going to be Malik Willis versus Tyler Huntley. The Packers are now 100% in the playoffs because the Lions lost,
Yeah,
and the Ravens only have a 6% chance, so they are basically done for.
they're done. Yeah,
But I'd still think that the Ravens probably do come out with a win here because they're not the best team, but I do think that they might just keep their playoff lives afloat for one more week just for the sake of it. It's that kind of storyline where you go into the last week and they have like 2% or 1% chance, and you're like, oh, there's still a chance there, but realistically, there's not. And I
there
think
isn't.
this is
Yeah,
just lined up to be that way.
yeah, Joe. There's no really need to add much more. As you said, like everything is kind of just pointing towards one of these teams nicking it. It's going to be really poor. It's going to be like 13-10 one way or the other. And I disagree with you. I think the Packers will come out on top, and the Ravens will finally just be over and done with. But
Mm.
it's going to be a nonsense game. I'm so glad it's the late game that I don't have to stay up and watch it. Um,
Yeah,
I'd much rather watch the Chargers and the Texans at half nine than I would watch this at 1 a.m. So I'm glad it's on nice.
yeah, 100%. I agree with that. There's no way I'd be staying up for this one
No.
with the current landscape of it. But yeah, like what I'm gonna like in terms of quarterback level, like Malik Willis has been great every time he's played for the Packers. So yeah, I think it makes more sense to pick them to win. I just have this weird feeling that the Ravens will just win a stupid game, and just like a 60-yarder from Tyler Loop or something gets them to win.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's not really much on the line here. So let's move on to a couple of big games on Sunday. The early window, the main one that stood out to me was the Seahawks and Panthers. I know you have the Panthers in your gone chance pick. So how are you feeling going into this one? Do you think the Panthers will have the Seahawks number and get a big statement win here to seal the playoffs?
Yeah, I still feel the same as I did when we were talking about it on Friday's episode. I just think the Panthers have it in them to kind of just force themselves more into this playoff picture than they are already. The Seahawks are excellent, but they're set. They're pretty much top seeds, so they don't really have a whole lot to play for. Well, the Panthers have everything to play for, so that's why I still think Panthers are going to nick this by 5, maybe 6 points.
Okay. Yeah, I think that the Seahawks are gonna they still I for me they have a lot to play for still because they want to solidify that first seed. Like it's between them and the Niners basically. I think ESPN has it that the Niners are like 30% chance and the Seahawks are like 40% chance or something like that because they play each other, I believe, in the final week. So it's
Mm.
gonna be it's gonna be really interesting to see that. But like the more I think about it, I know it's a really tough defense to go up against, but Bryce Young has been really good at times against the blitz. So I don't know what they draw up against him here. I know Mike McDonald is going to make it difficult for him, as difficult as he possibly can, but Young has been showing more and more that he's capable of breaking down top defenses. So I could see them getting a win, but I do think it's going to be super close, because I think both teams have a lot to play for. But if Darnold has one of his games where he starts turning the ball over, then the Panthers do well in games where they win the turnover battle.
Yeah.
They always put them to bed like they did against the Rams earlier in the season.
Yeah, 100%. I think if Darnold doesn't come out here and put his best foot forward like he was doing for nearly all of last year at the Vikings, then the Panthers could have a field day here, and it could get ugly. I don't think it's going to go that way. I think Darnold will be okay, but I just say Bryce Young's been having a really good season. He's really come into his own, and I think he'll just have enough to get him over the line here. And
Yeah. Okay.
follow on from my OKC pick, where I picked the Spurs despite panicking, and
Yeah,
got
that
away
worked
with
out
that
for
as
you.
well.
Yeah, that worked out nicely. I think then in the late window, there's only two games, but both I think actually are very consequential because you've got the Giants and Raiders, and like two woeful teams, but whoever
Mm,
loses basically solidifies the number one pick. And they're currently dueling to shut down as many players as physically
yeah,
possible. Because first of all, you had like I think mid last
Brock
week the
Bowers.
Giants shut down Kayvon Thibodeau first of all, and
Oh
then
yeah,
there was the shutdown of Bowers, and then the the Raiders shut down Max Crosby, and he in turn left the building because he was disgusted with that decision.
yeah,
He wanted to continue playing, so the Giants said, "Okay, no worries. Let's shut down our pretty much only good offensive lineman." So they're like, "Yeah, you're not going to bring your best edge rusher. Well, we're just going to put absolutely nobody at left tackle, so you can just rush whoever you want." It's basically just the two teams are like, "Let's shut down anyone good we have, and let's just see who can be worse." Like this could be a 6-3 game, and I don't know what's going to happen. But the way that Mike Kafka has been drawing up the games for Giants recently, he's just an absolute disgrace. He's barely letting Dart do anything. Like last week, he had 33 yards passing because he would not let him throw the ball. He
yeah.
got sacked 5 times. He only dropped back 13 times. Like he was literally drawing up run play after run play, and Dart just looks absolutely like heartbroken after the games compared to how he looked earlier in the season. Like they're literally taking away key games of this guy's development with this crap that they're calling. So I just want to see the back end of Kafka and get into the new season with Dart hopefully still intact, and ruling out your best offensive lineman is just asking for him to get crippled back there. So I don't agree with that either.
Yeah, yeah. This is nil all written all over us. Um, True overtime. Every kick is missed. No one wants to score a point in this. Whoever scores the point is going to be the next person's shut down. So they're all just going to be trying to do as little as possible without making it look like it's completely and utterly rigged. Rigged in their favor, obviously not rigged between the two teams. But I don't see how this goes anyway other than no touchdowns, 20 yards of offense, and everyone just throwing the ball over and back to each other. Could just be interception season
Yeah,
for both teams. I think Kafka has to go at the end of the year. I think oh, geez, I don't even know how to describe him, to be honest. Everything you say is dead right. He's absolutely pathetic, and what he's been doing over the last couple of weeks has been pathetic. The Giants have really, really suffered under his kind of, not his tutorship or whatever word you want to use, but he's just been an awful, awful addition after sacking
Dayball.
Yeah, Dable. So it's just nothing has gone right for the Giants since they beat the Chiefs, since they beat the Eagles. Sorry, and both these teams just want this season finished.
Yeah, yeah. This is just the toilet bowl, really. So let's see what happens.
Yeah,
The Eagles and Bills then is the other game in the late window. Massive one, big test now because the Eagles have beaten up on bad teams the last couple of weeks. So let's see if they can do it against a good team in the Bills. And the Bills, if they want to get a higher seed or keep their hopes alive for the division at all, they're going to need to win this one. So I like the Bills in this. I think the Eagles have beaten up on bad teams, and when they've played good teams earlier in the season, they haven't been good enough. And I think the Bills will just, yeah, that ground game with James Cook, it's just unstoppable. So I really like the Bills in this one.
yeah. The Bills are such a better team than this Eagles team as well. If their quality does show, then they should have no problem here. Really. I know the Eagles are Super Bowl champions, but they've had a really, really it's been such a weird season. I know a lot of teams have had a weird season, but the Eagles season has been so strange. They went through a stage where just couldn't seem to score points. Then went through a stage where they were scoring points for fun again. They make no sense to me, along with a lot of other teams in this league. I think the Bills could just walk all over them here, get
Yeah.
themselves right in the mix. Now I know the Patriots are playing the Jets, so I mean there's nothing really going to happen there other than the Patriots win. So the Bills are going to need it coming down to the last game of the season. It means more to them than it does the Eagles as well. So they'll definitely come out on top.
Yeah, the Eagles have already sealed their division, so nothing really at all to play for.
Yeah.
Last game then is Sunday Night Football. I think is massive one. The Bears and Niners. I think you're looking at two teams here who can still get the one seed. The Bears have basically sealed their division at this point with the Packers fall off and the Lions completely capitulating. The Niners can still get the one seed. As I already mentioned, it'll come down to the last game for them, really, if they win this one. But I like what the Bears have done. I like what they've done under Ben Johnson. I think the Niners have been superb, like really, really good. And what Kyle Shanahan has done with so many injuries has been unbelievably good. And this could be like an NFC Championship preview. That's how good these two teams have been. And the only thing is the Bears rely heavily on turnovers, but Brock Purdy, he's been great in the last few weeks, but sometimes he has these games where he just throws ducks and he could have four interceptions and a half. So that's something to watch out for. I think this Bears defense will be really, really looking to capitalize on that. And I actually like the Bears in this game.
Yeah, I wish Brock Purdy would have thrown the four interceptions last week instead of five touchdowns and knocked me out of my fantasy in the semi final. In an absolute horror show of point scoring from himself and McCaffrey. I like the Bears in this as well. I just think the Bears have been so solid this year. I don't know where it came from. Last year, the play calling was horrific. This year, it's been so much better. Caleb Williams looks like an actual quarterback. I think they've been really, really good. And as you said, this could be a finals matchup because the two of these teams are so, so good. I think the Bears will have the edge in this, though.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that one. I think like you said, Caleb Williams has been superb, and he'll probably for me, like I know Purdy's done good, but I just think that Williams is the better of the two, more talented, and it could come down to that, some of his playmaking ability. So a big one to watch out for on Sunday night. So let's move back to Christmas Day then, but this time we're going to look at the NBA side of things. Great set of games, some big upsets, and some madness right up till the final game. The last one was probably the biggest one, but we'll start with the first one. Cavs versus Knicks. The Knicks came out on top 126 to 124. Um, Donovan Mitchell did everything he could for this Cavs team. He literally put them on his back. 34.7 rebounds, six assists. Just some of the shots he made were unbelievable. That late three he made to cut it to one. The Cavs were up by 17 at one stage in the fourth quarter, and they were also up by 17 early as well. And both times the Knicks cut it, and then the Knicks managed to win it right at the end and just seal it out. This Cavs team is basically doing a huge disservice to Donovan Mitchell, in my opinion.
Yeah, Donovan Mitchell and Garland, like there's very little they can do when it's the two of them against everyone else. Really, they're kind of on their own out there. But especially Donovan Mitchell, he keeps showing up, and the rest of the Cavs just don't. There's something about this Knicks team. They love going behind and then coming back. They did the same in the NBA Cup Finals. Well, they went down
Mm.
by 14 or 15 to the Spurs and turned it around as well. Jalen Brunson is just the king of this team. 34 points again to drag them back into it. Um, Karl Anthony Towns is a really, really good centre as well. 14 assists in this game, 12 points. So they have the players around him. Unlike Donovan Mitchell, who just has nobody around him. Really, it's always just him, and like he can't do it on his own. As you said, up by 17 twice and still throwing it away and losing this is just really, really poor. Really poor
Yeah,
from the Cavs.
the Cavs have all those pieces that you'd expect to continue to grow. Like Mobley is such a good defender, but his defensive game hasn't improved. Jared Allen seems to be, I don't want to say he's regressing, but he does look to be poorer as the seasons go by.
Yeah,
And then Garland just can't get it going as much as he was earlier last season. So again, it's another Mitchell situation like when he was with the Jazz, where he just has to put up like 40 shots in a game, which is not what this Cavs team wanted to be at all. But yeah, the Knicks, really good team. Brunson is very, very good down the stretch,
yeah,
always so good in the clutch. But um, that was kind of a nice tone setter for the day, I think, before we got into the Spurs and OKC game, which was madness. Spurs winning by 15, 117 to 102. They beat the OKC in the NBA Cup semi-finals, and then they beat them again the other night by 20 points, and now they beat them on Christmas Day. They seem to be, as I said to you and Michael in our podcast group, that they're kind of the kryptonite for this OKC team. It seems
yeah,
like that on-ball pressure, the things that OKC do to other teams, the Spurs do it to them, and their shot making on the night was the difference, like 53.6% versus OKC, who had 38.9%. So incredible shot making for the Spurs versus OKC very, very poor. And that's down to the Spurs' high level defense.
Yeah, the thing about the Spurs team is they're so unassuming, but they're still brilliant. Like they don't actually need Wemby. Wemby is like a luxury player from, especially when he's on this minute
Restriction.
restriction. Yeah, and then when he's on the court, you're like, oh wow, this is what you're missing when he's not there. But then he goes off again and you just forget about him because everyone else is just putting up so much effort. Everyone gives this 110%. They're the only team that Shea can't seem to get going against at all. He just cannot get anything going because of how much pressure is on him from this Spurs team. Like, who would have thought the OKC would lose by 20 and then 15 in back-to-back games to the same team over the course of 3 nights? Like, you'd think after the first game that they'd be like, okay, this is what happened, this is what we need to do. They don't seem to be able to work him out at all. Do you know what? It's good to see. I wish it wasn't the Spurs as a Houston Texas or as a Houston Rockets fan, but it is good to see that someone is able to go out there and just put it up to the OKC because no one else has been doing it all year, and this is their third defeat to the Spurs now this season. Of their 5 losses, 3 of them have come to the Spurs. It's great to see.
Yeah, and that might be the difference between this team that was hoping to go for the record and now there's pretty much no chance of it
Yeah,
because
not
the
a hope
Spurs
now.
have just completely undone them. And the Spurs are a team now that's vying for the one seed themselves. And
Yeah,
like you said, when I put them into the power rankings a couple of weeks ago, that was without Wemby, and I said it's so powerful to be doing what they're doing without him. And now, like you said, to have him coming off the bench and just being like a complimentary player at this point, and that shows kind of a blueprint. Obviously, he's not going to be coming off the bench forever. He'll be back into the starting lineup, but he probably won't play more than 32, 33 minutes because they'll be beating teams so comfortably, it seems like. And also, it's a good way to kind of preserve his body for the playoffs because he is kind of an alien the size of him, and it's hard for him to get a lot of minutes in. But yeah, I really like this Spurs team. Obviously, OKC are probably still the most well-rounded and the most unstoppable team in the NBA, but it shows that maybe once we get to the playoffs, if they match up against the Spurs at any point, then that could be the end of them, which would be
yeah,
absolute unexpected from the start of the season.
100%. This Spurs team, like over the course of 7 games, you could very easily see them getting four, and they could do it very quickly. It could be 4-1 or 4-2. And the OKC won't even know what hit them. De'Aaron Fox and Stephon Castle they're such good foils for each other. And then you
Yeah.
bring in Wemby as well, and then you have Vassell, Harrison Barnes. They were a really strong roster, and they built it with draft picks rather than trades. Like everyone has been kind of a first round draft pick that has worked out. Now they've somehow gotten very lucky to be getting the lottery pick every time, but they're the one team that they really haven't made a mess of it. They made such a good run of getting this luck in the draft, and yeah, I know they traded for De'Aaron Fox, but he's been such a good player from 12 field goals, 29 points. Stephon Castle, 8 field goals, 19 points. Two really good players, and then Wemby just coming off the bench and casually dropping 19 and 11 rebounds just to top it off as well. They're such a solid team,
Yeah, and then on
solid
top of
solid
that, you
team.
add in Dylan Harper, who's going to be an absolute superstar. It's
Yes,
just,
yeah.
yeah, it's unfair. Then another team who gets draft luck in inverted commas is the Mavs, but it wasn't good enough for them against the
No.
Warriors because Anthony Davis once again went down injured in a big game. I like the Mavs to win this one, but as soon as Anthony Davis goes down, then you might as well write that off because a lot of what they do revolves around him. That was the main storyline, I think, in this game. The Warriors really didn't break a sweat. They won by 10 only, but they were never really in any danger of losing this game. Like a lot of their main players had to play less than 30 minutes. I think only Moses Moody played more than 30. Steph just did the job. I think he had like 23 points. He didn't have to do anything amazing. Cooper Flag had a good game. 27.6 rebounds, 5 assists, but outside of that, it was all really pretty handy for the Warriors, I think.
Yeah, it was just handy from start to finish. Once Anthony Davis went down after 11 minutes, you just knew it was game over, really. The Mavs just, my God, are they useless. They're just a really bad team. There's no fighting them. They just seem to fall off a cliff as soon as one thing goes against them. It's like the whole world has gone against them all of a sudden, and they never really recover. Cooper Flag dropped 27 points, but no one else got even near to him. Then PJ Washington and Najee Marshall got 14, and then Brandon Williams 26. But outside of Cooper Flag, there's no one really doing anything, especially with Anthony Davis just dropping again and again and again. It's such a poor team, and that trade to get rid of Luca will never make sense to me. But it looks worse and worse as the weeks pass.
Yeah, it's just an awful, awful thing that they did, and they've just basically blown up the whole franchise. It's like the type of
Yeah.
thing that, unfortunately for their fans, there's no coming back from that. But this game was not really that interesting, to be honest. And the Lakers then in the next game, they kind of fell off completely as well. Your Rockets got the win, 119-96, the biggest blowout of the day. The Rockets led from wire to wire. They just dominated the Lakers, 17 offensive boards to 7, 24 second chance points to 10, and 68 points in the paint to 52. They just bullied the Lakers off the court. And although a lot of the Lakers players came back, they weren't ready for what the Rockets had to give to them.
No, not at all. This is a Rockets team that just took their frustration out on the Lakers after such a poor week. They were going to get back to the normal selves at some point, and to keep the Lakers under 100 points, despite nearly everyone sitting out the fourth quarter and garbage time as well, is actually probably the most impressive part of what what the Rockets did. But they were never under pressure from literally from the first basket. They just led the whole way, which is really good to see. It was something we haven't seen too much of from the Rockets this season. KD excellent. Reed Shepherd was shooting very well. Eamon Thompson was just driving to the rim. Alley oop after alley oop and just running through people. It was just such a good performance from every single one of them who stood in the court, especially the ones that don't play much to keep their Lakers like under 100 points is just really impressive, despite the fact that nobody was playing in that fourth quarter, really.
Yeah, I agree. It was actually a really strong performance from the Rockets. They kind of showed what they're about. On a big stage, they went to LA and they took it. They said, "No, like this is ours. We're not coming here to mess around." And yeah, like you said, some of the key players. Amen was outstanding. 26 points, 7 rebounds, 5 assists. Still can't shoot the three, but when you can get in
Yeah.
like that and finish and put that constant rim pressure, and then you have so many players able to rebound the ball and generate second chance points, then it's really hard to stop that. And when you don't have a decent center like the Lakers don't, like Aiton is just not good enough for that,
No.
and they don't have strong enough forwards to combat it either. So incredibly good performance for the Rockets, and like you said, something they really needed to hopefully get the ball rolling now into the new year and put some of those bad performances of last week behind them.
Oh, they have to put him behind them. It was just, Joe, us teams have those weeks. Um, Not the very, very top teams. The likes of OKC don't have them, but you can't go out and be losing. But like, it was just really poor. Losing to the Kings, losing to the Pelicans,
Pelicans.
and then beating the Nuggets. Like it doesn't make sense. You can't do that if you think you're gonna kind of push on and win a championship. So hopefully this is the turning point again now where they can go on a bit of a run, win maybe 11 of their next 15 or something, and just kind of show that they are a serious basketball team. Which they showed on Christmas evening that they might just be a very serious basketball team, and I really hope they are. Obviously, because it really helps with my happiness when they're playing well.
So last up then was probably the game of the day across both sports. Timberwolves 138, Nuggets 142 after overtime. Timberwolves came back late. They were trailing by 16 at one point. That turnaround 3-point shot by Anthony Edwards to force overtime. Like he's just facing away from the basketballs inbounded into the corner and he does that.
Yeah.
Just unbelievable player. 24 of his points came in the fourth and overtime. So just absolutely clutch as always. But then you come up against Jokic and he puts up a 56-point triple double with 16 rebounds and 15 assists. What are you even supposed to do when that's what you're facing?
Like Anthony Edwards dropped 44 points and nobody cares. Like I didn't see a single tweet about it on Twitter that, oh my God, Anthony Edwards just put 44 points on the Nuggets. Jokic just casually comes out and just drops 56 on him. Like what what can you do is the question. I don't have the answer. I don't give the answer either. There's nothing anyone can do about him. He's just so comfortably the best player in the world at the moment. This Nuggets team are just when they have him playing the way he is, then they're no one can really put a glove on him. I don't think the OKC could stop him either when he's playing like this. It puts them into perspective as why they might be the favourites to win this whole thing if he's keeps going the way he's going this season.
Mm. But the OKC losing games too.
Yeah,
I think that Nuggets pick is looking better by the day for me. I'm happy I got on that one early. But like as we already mentioned last week when we talked about them with Jamal Murray, like he's really turning it on in the regular season and he wants to play at the highest level every single game, like 35 points, 10 assists. He made 9 threes. That's a record for a Christmas Day game. So I think him playing to the best of his ability, Jokic doing what he does, and then all the other players when they're all healthy, like you have a fully fit Christian Brown and Aaron Gordon, like just to add that to also Peyton Watson's taken a step this year too. He really looks dominant and really strong physically. So yeah, I don't know who's stopping this team. I think props the the Timberwolves. Like even Randall had a great game, 32,
yeah.
7 and 6, and they did everything they could and they always put up a great fight against the Nuggets. But I think they're just a tier below, and there's the Nuggets really at the top of the pedestal right now, really pushing the OKC, I think, in my eyes, when it comes to crunch time in the playoffs.
Yeah, I think the Nuggets, the OKC, and the Spurs are the three to really watch out for now. The Spurs, just because of what they've done against this OKC team, if they can just remain consistent and go and do this against every team, then they could be a real contender as well. But this Nuggets team are just they're special. It doesn't feel like Denver should have two teams that are pushing on to playoffs and look like could go and do something, but you know what they do, and we'll just have to deal with it for now, I think. But oh, like the only man to talk about is Jokic here. Just wow.
Yeah,
Honestly, there's really nothing else you can say. Just wow. 56, 16, and 15. Just get your head around that is madness.
yeah. There's nothing really else you can say. I don't think that stat line has ever been put up before.
No, it
So it's
hasn't.
just, yeah, there's not much else to say. I think that's a good place to wrap it. We've got more coming for you next week. We're going to have a football special for New Year's coming on New Year's Day. So keep your eye out on that. We're going to cover the NFL and also some Premier League. We've got a lot of NBA covered over the last couple of weeks for you. So that was our recap of Christmas Day and a look ahead to the NFL weekend. But yeah, hope you enjoyed the extra episode, and we will catch you again next week. Shane, I'll throw it to you.
See you guys, and thanks for coming. Happy Christmas, Happy New Year, and we'll see you in 2026.
Nice one, lads.
Welcome back to another episode of Who's Got the Ball with Shane and James.